The Little Prince. Once, there was a little prince. He lived on a small planet. The planet was very small. It was called B612. The little prince was alone on the planet. He had a rose. The rose was very special to him. He loved the rose very much. One day, the little prince decided to leave his planet. He wanted to see other planets. He wanted to meet new people. He said goodbye to his rose. The rose was sad, but she did not say anything. The little prince started his journey. First, he visited a planet. There was a king on the planet. The king was very old. He wore a big robe. The king said, "I am the king of this planet. Everyone must obey me." But there was no one on the planet. The little prince was confused. He asked, "Who do you rule?" The king said, "I rule the stars. I tell them what to do." The little prince thought this was strange. He said goodbye to the king and left. Next, the little prince visited another planet. There was a vain man on this planet. The vain man loved compliments. He said, "I am the most handsome man in the universe. Everyone must admire me." The little prince asked, "Who admires you?" The vain man said, "Everyone. Clap your hands for me." The little prince clapped his hands. The vain man was very happy. But the little prince thought this was silly. He said goodbye and left. Then, the little prince visited a third planet. There was a drunk man on this planet. The drunk man was sitting next to many bottles. The little prince asked, "What are you doing?" The drunk man said, "I am drinking." The little prince asked, "Why are you drinking?" The drunk man said, "I drink to forget." The little prince asked, "What do you want to forget?" The drunk man said, "I want to forget that I am ashamed." The little prince asked, "Why are you ashamed?" The drunk man said, "I am ashamed because I drink." The little prince thought this was very sad. He said goodbye and left. The little prince visited many planets. He met many people. But he was not happy. He missed his rose. He wanted to go back to his planet. But he decided to visit one more planet. On the next planet, there was a lamplighter. The lamplighter had a lamp. He turned the lamp on and off every minute. The little prince asked, "Why do you do this?" The lamplighter said, "It is my job. I must follow the rules." The little prince thought the lamplighter was very hardworking. He liked the lamplighter. But he could not stay. He said goodbye and left. Finally, the little prince came to Earth. Earth was a big planet. There were many people, animals, and plants. The little prince was surprised. He walked for a long time. He saw a garden full of roses. There were thousands of roses. They all looked like his rose. The little prince was very sad. He thought his rose was special. But now he saw many roses like her. He sat down and cried. Then, a fox appeared. The fox said, "Hello, little prince. Why are you crying?" The little prince said, "I am sad because my rose is not special. There are many roses like her." The fox said, "Your rose is special because you love her. Love makes things special." The little prince thought about this. He understood the fox's words. He felt better. The little prince decided to return to his planet. He wanted to see his rose again. He knew his rose was special because he loved her. He said goodbye to the fox and started his journey back home. The little prince continued his journey on Earth. He walked for a long time. He saw many things. He saw mountains, rivers, and deserts. He met different animals and people. But he still missed his rose. He wanted to go back to her. One day, the little prince met a snake. The snake was yellow and very long. The snake said, "Hello, little prince. Why are you here?" The little prince said, "I am lost. I want to go back to my planet." The snake said, "I can help you. I can send you back to your planet." The little prince was surprised. He asked, "How can you do that?" The snake said, "I have a special power. But you must trust me." The little prince thought about it. He was a little afraid, but he trusted the snake. The snake said, "When the time comes, I will help you. But first, you must learn more about Earth." The little prince agreed. He continued to explore the planet. After some time, the little prince met a pilot. The pilot was in the desert. His plane was broken. He was trying to fix it. The little prince saw the pilot and said, "Hello. What are you doing?" The pilot was surprised to see a little boy in the desert. He said, "I am a pilot. My plane is broken. I need to fix it." The little prince asked, "What is a plane?" The pilot explained, "A plane is a machine that flies in the sky. It can take people to different places." The little prince thought this was very interesting. The pilot and the little prince became friends. They talked for many hours. The little prince told the pilot about his planet, his rose, and his journey. The pilot listened carefully. He thought the little prince was very special. The pilot asked, "Why did you leave your planet?" The little prince said, "I wanted to see other places. But now I miss my rose. I want to go back to her." The pilot said, "I understand. Sometimes we leave to learn how important our home is." The little prince also told the pilot about the fox. He said, "The fox taught me that love makes things special. My rose is special because I love her." The pilot smiled. He said, "That is a very important lesson." The next day, the pilot fixed his plane. He was ready to leave the desert. But he was sad to say goodbye to the little prince. The little prince said, "Do not be sad. I will always be in your heart. When you look at the stars, you will think of me." The pilot said, "I will never forget you, little prince." The little prince said, "It is time for me to go back to my planet. The snake will help me." The pilot was worried. He said, "Are you sure? Snakes can be dangerous." The little prince said, "Do not worry. I trust the snake." The little prince said goodbye to the pilot. He walked into the desert. The snake was waiting for him. The snake said, "Are you ready?" The little prince said, "Yes, I am ready." The snake bit the little prince. It was a quick bite. The little prince fell to the ground. He closed his eyes. The next morning, the pilot looked for the little prince. But he could not find him. He saw only a small mark on the ground. The pilot looked at the stars. He remembered the little prince. He knew the little prince was back on his planet, with his rose. After the little prince left, the pilot was very sad. He thought about the little prince every day. He remembered their conversations and the lessons the little prince taught him. The pilot decided to write a book about the little prince. He wanted to share the little prince's story with the world. The pilot wrote about the little prince's planet, his rose, and his journey. He wrote about the king, the vain man, the drunk man, and the lamplighter. He also wrote about the fox and the snake. The pilot wanted people to understand the little prince's message: what is important is invisible to the eyes. One day, the pilot finished his book. He called it The Little Prince. He gave the book to a publisher. The publisher read the book and liked it very much. He decided to print many copies of the book. Soon, people all over the world were reading The Little Prince. Many people loved the book. They loved the little prince's story. They loved his kindness and his curiosity. They also loved the lessons in the book. The book became very popular. It was translated into many languages. One day, a little girl read the book. Her name was Lily. Lily loved the little prince. She wanted to meet him. She asked her mother, "Is the little prince real? Can I meet him?" Her mother said, "The little prince is a character in a book. But his story is real. His lessons are real." Lily thought about this. She decided to live like the little prince. She decided to be kind and curious. She decided to love her family and friends. She also decided to take care of the world around her. Lily planted a rose in her garden. She watered it every day. She talked to the rose. She said, "You are special to me. I will take care of you." The rose grew big and beautiful. Lily was very happy. One night, Lily looked at the stars. She remembered the little prince. She said, "Thank you, little prince. You taught me important lessons. I will never forget you." Years passed. Lily grew up. She became a teacher. She decided to teach children about the little prince. She read the book to her students. She told them about the little prince's journey. She also told them about the lessons in the book. The children loved the story. They asked many questions. They asked, "Why did the little prince leave his planet?" Lily said, "He wanted to learn about the world. But he learned that his home and his rose were the most important." The children also asked, "Why did the little prince trust the snake?" Lily said, "The snake helped the little prince go back to his planet." Sometimes, we need help to find our way home. The children understood the little prince's message. They decided to be kind and curious. They decided to love their families and friends. They also decided to take care of the world around them. Lily was very happy. She knew the little prince's story would live on. She knew the lessons in the book would help many people. She looked at the stars and said, "Thank you, little prince. Your story will never be forgotten." Many years after the little prince's story was written, people still talked about him. They talked about his small planet, his rose, and his journey. They talked about the lessons he taught. But some people wondered, what happened to the little prince after he returned to his planet? One day, a group of children decided to find out. They loved the Little Prince's story, and they wanted to know more. They asked their teacher, "Can we write our own story about the Little Prince? Can we imagine what happened next?" The teacher smiled and said, "Of course. Let's use our imagination." The children started to write. They imagined that the little prince returned to his planet, B612. When he arrived, he saw his rose. She was still there, waiting for him. The rose was very happy to see the little prince. She said, "You came back. I missed you so much." The little prince said, "I missed you too. I will never leave you again." The little prince took care of his rose every day. He watered her, protected her from the wind, and talked to her. He also cleaned his planet. He removed the baobab trees and made sure everything was in order. The little prince was happy to be home. But one day, something strange happened. A small star fell from the sky and landed on the little prince's planet. The star was not like other stars. It was glowing and had a special light. The little prince was curious. He went closer to the star and touched it. Suddenly, the star started to speak. The star said, "Hello, little prince. I am a wishing star. I can grant you one wish. What do you want?" The little prince thought for a moment. He looked at his rose and said, "I want my rose to be happy forever." The star said, "Your wish is granted." From that day on, the rose was always happy. She never felt lonely or sad. The little prince was happy too. He spent his days taking care of his planet and his rose. But he also thought about his friends on Earth. He thought about the pilot, the fox, and the snake. He wanted to see them again. One night, the little prince looked at the stars. He remembered the fox's words, "You can only see clearly with your heart. What is important is invisible to the eyes." The little prince smiled. He knew his friends were with him in his heart. Meanwhile, on Earth, the pilot was getting older. He often looked at the stars and thought about the little prince. One night, he had a dream. In his dream, he saw the little prince. The little prince said, "Do not be sad. I am happy on my planet. I will always remember you." The pilot woke up with a smile. He knew the little prince was safe. The children finished their story. They were very proud of it. They showed it to their teacher. The teacher said, "This is a beautiful story. You used your imagination very well." The children were happy. They decided to share their story with others. They made a small book and called it The Little Prince Returns. They gave the book to their friends and family. Everyone loved the story. They said, "This is a wonderful continuation of the little prince's journey." The children learned an important lesson. They learned that stories can live forever. They also learned that love and friendship are the most important things in life. They looked at the stars and said, "Thank you, little prince. You taught us so much." After the children wrote their story about the little prince, something magical happened. One night, as they looked at the stars, they saw a small light moving across the sky. It was not a plane or a shooting star. It was something special. The light came closer and closer. Suddenly, it landed in their garden. The children were surprised and a little scared. They went outside to see what it was. To their amazement, it was the little prince. He had come back to Earth. The little prince smiled and said, "Hello, friends. I heard your story, and I wanted to visit you." The children were very happy. They asked, "How did you come here?" The little prince said, "The wishing star helped me. It granted me one more wish, and I wish to see you." The children invited the little prince into their home. They asked him many questions. They asked, "How is your rose? How is your planet?" The little prince said, "My rose is very happy. My planet is beautiful. I take care of it every day." The children showed the little prince their book. They said, "We wrote a story about you. We imagined what happened after you returned to your planet." The little prince read the book. He smiled and said, "This is a wonderful story. You have a great imagination." The little prince stayed with the children for a few days. They played together, talked, and shared stories. The little prince told them about his adventures on other planets. He also told them about the lessons he learned. One day, the little prince said, "It is time for me to go back to my planet. My rose is waiting for me." The children were sad, but they understood. They said, "We will miss you, little prince." The little prince said, "Do not be sad. I will always be in your hearts. When you look at the stars, you will think of me." The little prince said goodbye to the children. He walked into the garden and looked at the sky. The wishing star appeared again. It granted the little prince's wish and took him back to his planet. The children looked at the stars that night. They remembered the little prince and his lessons. They decided to live like the little prince. They decided to be kind, curious, and loving. They also decided to take care of the world around them. Years passed, and the children grew up. They never forgot the little prince. They told his story to their children and grandchildren. The story of the little prince lived on, spreading love and kindness everywhere. One night, an old man looked at the stars. He was the pilot who had met the little prince many years ago. He remembered their time together in the desert. He smiled and said, "Thank you, little prince. You taught me so much. Your story will never be forgotten." After the little prince returned to his planet, he continued to live happily with his rose. But he often thought about his friends on Earth. He wondered how they were doing. He wanted to visit them again, but he knew he couldn't leave his rose alone for too long. One day, the little prince had an idea. He decided to send messages to his friends on Earth. He wrote small letters and tied them to stars. He asked the stars to carry his messages to Earth. The stars agreed and started their journey. Meanwhile, on Earth, the children who had met the little prince were now grown up. They had families and jobs, but they never forgot the little prince. One night, as they looked at the stars, they saw something unusual. Small lights were falling from the sky. They realized they were messages from the little prince. The children ran outside to catch the messages. Each message was written on a small piece of paper. The little prince had written, "Hello, my friends. I am thinking of you. I hope you are happy. Remember the lessons we learned together. Love and kindness are the most important things in life." The children were very happy to receive the messages. They wrote back to the little prince. They told him about their lives and how his story had inspired them. They tied their letters to balloons and sent them to the sky. They hoped the balloons would reach the little prince. Weeks passed, and the little prince received the balloons. He read the letters and smiled. He was happy to know that his friends were doing well. He wrote back to them, "Thank you for your letters. I am happy to know that you remember me. Keep spreading love and kindness. The world needs it." The little prince and his friends continued to send messages to each other. They shared stories, thoughts, and dreams. They felt connected, even though they were far apart. The little prince knew that his friends were with him in his heart. One day, the little prince had another idea. He decided to create a special garden on his planet. He planted many flowers and trees. He made the garden beautiful and peaceful. He called it the Garden of Friendship. He invited his friends on Earth to visit the garden in their dreams. That night, the children had the same dream. They dreamed of the little prince's planet and the Garden of Friendship. They saw the little prince and his rose. They walked through the garden and felt happy and peaceful. They knew it was a special place. When they woke up, the children shared their dreams with each other. They realized they had all visited the Garden of Friendship. They felt closer to the little prince and to each other. They decided to create their own Garden of Friendship on Earth. The children planted flowers and trees in their gardens. They made the gardens beautiful and peaceful. They invited their friends and families to visit. They told them about the little prince and his lessons. They said, "This garden is a place of love and kindness. Let's take care of it together." The little prince looked at Earth from his planet. He saw the gardens and smiled. He knew his friends were spreading love and kindness. He felt proud of them. He said, "Thank you, my friends. You are making the world a better place." As time passed, the little prince's Garden of Friendship on his planet grew more beautiful. He added new flowers, trees, and even a small fountain. The garden became a place of peace and joy. The little prince often sat there, thinking about his friends on Earth and the lessons they had shared. One day, while tending to his garden, the little prince noticed something unusual. A small, glowing seed had fallen from the sky. It was unlike any seed he had ever seen. Curious, he planted it in a special spot in his garden. He watered it and waited to see what would grow. Days turned into weeks, and the seed began to sprout. It grew into a small, delicate plant with silver leaves. The little prince was amazed. He had never seen such a plant before. He asked his rose, "Do you know what this is?" The rose replied, "I have never seen anything like it. It must be something very special." One night, as the little prince sat by the plant, it began to glow. The glow grew brighter and brighter until it formed a small, shimmering figure. It was a star fairy. The star fairy smiled at the little prince and said, "Thank you for taking care of my seed. I am here to grant you a special gift." The little prince was surprised. He asked, "What kind of gift?" The star fairy said, "I can take you on a journey to visit your friends on Earth. You can see them one more time." The little prince's heart filled with joy. He said, "I would love to see my friends again." The star fairy waved her wand, and a glowing path appeared in the sky. She said, "Follow this path, and it will lead you to Earth. But remember, you must return before sunrise." The little prince nodded and thanked the star fairy. He said goodbye to his rose and started his journey. As the little prince followed the glowing path, he felt a sense of excitement. He couldn't wait to see his friends. When he arrived on Earth, he found the children who had written the story about him. They were now adults, but they still remembered him. The little prince appeared in their dreams, just as he had done before. He said, "Hello, my friends. I have come to visit you." The children were overjoyed. They said, "We have missed you, little prince. How are you?" The little prince smiled and said, "I am well. I have a beautiful garden on my planet, and I thought of you often." The little prince and his friends spent the night talking and sharing stories. They told him about their lives and how his lessons had inspired them. The little prince listened carefully and said, "I am proud of you. You have made the world a better place." As the night went on, the little prince visited other friends too. He visited the pilot, who was now an old man. The pilot was happy to see the little prince again. He said, "You have not changed at all, little prince. You are still the same kind and curious boy I met in the desert." The little prince smiled and said, "And you are still my dear friend." When the first light of dawn appeared, the little prince knew it was time to go. He said goodbye to his friends and promised to visit them again in their dreams. He followed the glowing path back to his planet, where his rose was waiting for him. The little prince returned to his garden and saw that the silver plant had grown even more. It now had small, glowing flowers. The star fairy appeared again and said, "This plant is a symbol of your friendship. It will always remind you of your friends on Earth." The little prince thanked the star fairy and promised to take good care of the plant. From that day on, the little prince's garden became even more special. The glowing flowers reminded him of the love and kindness he had shared with his friends. He knew that even though they were far apart, they were always connected. The little prince's life on his planet was peaceful and happy. His garden, now filled with glowing flowers, became a place of wonder. Every time he looked at the silver plant, he remembered his friends on Earth and the special bond they shared. But deep down, he still felt a longing to do more, to spread the lessons of love and kindness even further. One day, as he was watering his garden, the little prince noticed a small, golden feather floating down from the sky. It landed gently in his hand. He looked up and saw a beautiful bird with shimmering feathers flying above him. The bird circled around and then landed on a nearby tree. The bird spoke in a soft, melodic voice, "Little prince, I have come from a distant land where many people have forgotten the importance of love and kindness. They need to hear your story. Will you come with me and share it with them?" The little prince was surprised but also excited. He had always wanted to help others. He looked at his rose and asked, "What do you think? Should I go?" The rose replied, "You have a kind heart, little prince. If you feel this is the right thing to do, then you should go. I will be here waiting for you." With the rose's blessing, the little prince agreed to join the bird. The bird spread its wings, and the little prince climbed onto its back. Together, they flew through the stars, heading toward the distant land. When they arrived, the little prince saw a world that was very different from his own. The people there were busy and often forgot to smile. They were so focused on their work and worries that they had no time for each other. The little prince felt sad but also determined to help. The bird took him to a small village. The little prince stood in the center of the village and began to tell his story. He spoke about his planet, his rose, and his journey. He told the people about the king, the vain man, the drunk man, and the lamplighter. He also told them about the fox and the snake. At first, the people were too busy to listen. But as the little prince continued, his words began to touch their hearts. One by one, they stopped what they were doing and gathered around him. They listened carefully as he shared the lessons he had learned. What is important is invisible to the eyes. Love and kindness are the most valuable things in life. The people were moved by the little prince's story. They realized how much they had been missing. They started to talk to each other, to smile, and to help one another. The village began to change. It became a place of warmth and friendship. The little prince stayed in the village for a few days. He helped the people plant a garden, just like the one on his planet. They called it the Garden of Love. The little prince taught them how to care for the flowers and trees. He said, "This garden will remind you of the importance of love and kindness. Take care of it, and it will take care of you." When it was time to leave, the people thanked the little prince. They said, "You have changed our lives. We will never forget you." The little prince smiled and said, "Remember, the lessons are not just for you. Share them with others, and the world will become a better place." The bird carried the little prince back to his planet. When he arrived, his rose was waiting for him. She said, "I am proud of you, little prince. You have done something wonderful." The little prince hugged his rose and said, "I could not have done it without you. You are my inspiration." That night, as the little prince looked at the stars, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He knew that his journey had made a difference. He also knew that there were still many people in the world who needed to hear his story. He made a promise to himself, "I will continue to share my lessons, wherever and whenever I can." After his journey to the distant land, the little prince felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that his story and lessons could touch the hearts of many people. But he also realized that he couldn't travel to every corner of the universe alone. He needed a way to share his message with everyone, even those he couldn't meet in person. One evening, as he sat in his garden, the little prince had an idea. He decided to write a book. He wanted to tell his story in a way that people everywhere could read it. He gathered his thoughts and began to write. He wrote about his planet, his rose, and his adventures. He wrote about the lessons he had learned and the friends he had made. When the book was finished, the little prince called it The Little Prince, a story of love and kindness. He knew he needed help to share it with the world, so he asked the Star Fairy for assistance. The Star Fairy appeared and said, "I can help you. I will send your book to Earth, where it will be read by many people." The Star Fairy waved her wand, and the book began to glow. It floated into the sky and disappeared among the stars. Moments later, it appeared on Earth, in the hands of a kind-hearted publisher. The publisher read the book and was deeply moved. He decided to print it and share it with the world. Soon, the little prince's book was in the hands of people everywhere. Children, adults, and even grandparents read it. They were inspired by the little prince's story and the lessons he shared. The book became a symbol of love, kindness, and the importance of seeing with the heart. One day, a young girl named Emma read the book. She loved it so much that she decided to write a letter to the little prince. She tied the letter to a balloon and sent it into the sky. The balloon floated higher and higher until it reached the little prince's planet. The little prince found the balloon and read Emma's letter. She wrote, "Dear little prince, your story has changed my life. I now understand how important it is to be kind and to love others. Thank you for sharing your lessons with the world. The little prince was touched by her words. He decided to write back. He wrote, "Dear Emma, thank you for your kind words. I am happy that my story has inspired you. Remember, the most important things in life are invisible to the eyes. Love and kindness are the keys to a happy heart. Keep sharing these lessons with others, and the world will become a better place." The little prince tied his letter to a star and sent it back to Earth. When Emma received it, she was overjoyed. She shared the letter with her friends and family. They were inspired too, and they started to spread the little prince's message in their community. Meanwhile, the little prince continued to write. He wrote more stories and shared more lessons. He wrote about the importance of friendship, the beauty of nature, and the power of dreams. Each story was filled with love and kindness, and each one touched the hearts of those who read it. One night, as the little prince looked at the stars, he felt a deep sense of peace. He knew that his stories were making a difference. He also knew that his friends on Earth were helping to spread his message. He said to himself, "The world is full of good people. Together, we can make it a better place." The Little Prince's book became a classic. It was translated into many languages and read by people all over the world. Schools used it to teach children about love and kindness. Families read it together and discussed its lessons. The Little Prince's message became a guiding light for many. And so, the Little Prince's legacy lived on. His stories continued to inspire generations, reminding everyone that love and kindness are the most important things in life. The Little Prince may have lived on a small planet, but his heart was as big as the universe. Years passed, and the Little Prince's stories continued to spread across the universe. His book, The Little Prince, A Story of Love and Kindness, became a treasure for people of all ages. It was read in schools, homes, and libraries. It was even carried by travelers who found comfort in its lessons during their journeys. On his small planet, the little prince lived a peaceful life. His garden flourished, and the glowing flowers reminded him of the love and kindness he had shared with the world. His rose was always by his side, and together they watched the stars every night. One evening, as the little prince and his rose sat in the garden, they noticed a bright light in the sky. It was a comet, streaking across the universe. The little prince had never seen anything like it before. The comet came closer and closer until it landed gently on his planet. Out of the comet stepped a wise old man with a long white beard. He introduced himself as the keeper of stories. He said, "Little prince, your stories have touched the hearts of countless beings across the universe. I have come to invite you to a special place, the Library of the Stars. It is a place where the most important stories in the universe are kept. Your story belongs there." The little prince was surprised and honored. He looked at his rose and asked, "What do you think? Should I go?" The rose replied, "This is a great honor, little prince. You should go. I will be here, waiting for you." With the rose's blessing, the little prince agreed to visit the Library of the Stars. The keeper of stories waved his hand, and a path of light appeared in the sky. The little prince followed the path, leaving his planet for a short time. When he arrived at the Library of the Stars, he was amazed. The library was vast and beautiful, filled with books that glowed like stars. Each book contained a story that had changed the universe in some way. The keeper of stories led the little prince to a special shelf. There, among the greatest stories ever told, was a copy of The Little Prince, A Story of Love and Kindness. The keeper of stories said, "Your story has reminded the universe of the importance of love, kindness, and seeing with the heart. It will be preserved here forever, so that future generations can learn from it." The little prince felt a deep sense of gratitude. He said, "Thank you. I am happy that my story has made a difference. But I could not have done it without the love of my rose and the friendship of so many others." The keeper of stories smiled and said, "That is the beauty of your story, little prince. It shows that we are all connected by love and kindness. Now, it is time for you to return to your planet. Your rose is waiting for you." The little prince followed the path of light back to his planet. When he arrived, his rose was there, just as she had promised. She said, "Welcome back, little prince. I missed you." The little prince hugged her and said, "I missed you too. I will never leave you again." That night, as they sat in the garden, the little prince looked at the stars. He thought about all the people he had met, the lessons he had learned, and the stories he had shared. He felt a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. The little prince's story became a timeless treasure. It reminded everyone who read it that love and kindness are the most important things in life. It taught them to see with their hearts and to cherish the connections they shared with others. And so, the little prince lived happily on his small planet, with his rose by his side. His story continued to inspire, and his message of love and kindness spread across the universe, touching the hearts of all who heard it.